Good morning. This is the Public Safety Building Committee meeting for August 23rd, 2018. I'll call the meeting to order at 11:08. Got a number of discussions to take place. Just be advised that the meeting is being recorded and video recorded for future publication or whatever by the Raleigh Community Television, broadcast by the Raleigh Community Television. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order, as I said, and I guess we can discuss the first item is the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and we can kind of combine that with the great upgrading dispatch center. We'll kind of put it all together if no one has any objections, because I know you guys had a meeting the other day discussing both things, so we'll turn it over to whoever wants to.
You or me?
Make a presentation.
Would you start off, Paul?
So last Monday we met with representatives from Galaxy Security and Access Control, Comtract, Cybercom, and had the first of our sort of technology and communications review relative to the temporary dispatch center. We were able to flush out a lot of scope items and scope questions that we had. We were able to sort of confirm the intended schedule with the vendors, tried to identify any potential pitfalls or potholes that may come up along the way, and we were able to sort of talk through those items on how we'd address them. And then at this point in time, I think that we're prepared to ask the committee for the authorization to move forward with each of those three vendors in their representative categories of work. Galaxy for security and access control, Comtract for cabling, and Cybercom with their Motorola equipment quotation for the work of the PD and the FD moving forward. Okay. Greg's got some numbers in front of us. So in addition to those, we're also going to talk about furniture and some ancillary, I'll call it relocation of the existing fire department radio and equipment. That work was priced by LW Bills, bless you, at a cost of $24,368. There were no other quotes received for those services, and it's been my experience in the past that LW Bills is essentially one of the only people in the business that services and relocates that type of equipment. So I'm certainly comfortable making that recommendation as well and moving forward with LW Bills. So
I just passed down a little spreadsheet here. It bears some correction. Neil and I hadn't had a chance to scrub these numbers, so I'd like to kind of go through this with you real quickly. The items listed on the left are the additional things, the additional scope that we're doing, both technology, FF&E, and those sorts of things. Top of the list is the source capture exhaust system, which will be going out to bid. I'm talking with Debbie right now about getting that advertised, and that should hit the central register this Wednesday.
That's for the fire station now, right?
Fire station, right. This is for the exhaust system. We're figuring it's going to be around $60,000, maybe a little bit more, and there's probably going to be around $5,000 or so in other stuff that we're going to have to do to the building to support it, mainly electrical stuff and maybe some ductwork that needs to be attached. So those are pretty much allowances right now. The lockers, we have a number from Dunnigan Systems from Mark Wences of $113,708. He has in his bid, in his proposal, $22,800 for installation, but installation is part of the construction contract under Castania. So the cost of the project is $113,000. The installation is you already own that as part of the construction.
Now, is that for both buildings?
Both buildings.
But who's doing the actual install?
It'll be Castagna. Castagna will be installing them. Now,
We're going to encourage Castagna to try to reach an agreement with Dunnigan
Yeah.
to do the install. However, we can't guarantee that they'll be able to come to terms, and Castagna won't decide to do something different. That's certainly within his right in the terms of the contract. So we just have to be a little careful.
Okay.
Okay?
yeah, you don't like, well, you shouldn't say, but it would be to their advantage to have Dunnigan do it.
I sent you the email on it yesterday. I was going through all the furniture. The lockers that he's got in the bunk rooms is two. There's no need for those lockers because he got lockers in the the locker room. They're all the same.
Right.
I don't know how much each locker is because it was a blanket, but there's 10 lockers that are not used.
We went through that, and these are only the lockers in the locker.
Okay.
Next item is furniture. We got quotes in from WB Mason for fire and police respectively. Just to make a note on your spreadsheet, and Neil flagged this just a second ago, this is the actual cost of the furniture. We don't have an installation cost yet, so it's those numbers plus installation, and I don't have those yet.
Are those apples to apples? I know that they're different brands, but as far as the like this office, that office, everything's was apples to apples
WB
on that?
Mason doesn't include the bunk area, the kitchen, the day room area. There's certain stuff that's not included in WB Mason, strictly office furniture.
Okay.
So I don't know what it'll end up being, but there is stuff that's not mentioned in the WB Mason that is in the KI.
I'm also not sure, Chief, that they have anything of detention grade quality or anything like that for your secure interview space or anything like that we'll have to flesh out as well.
Right. Okay.
And I was going through, yesterday when I got the spreadsheet from KI, I was going through everything, and there is going to potentially be some of the stuff that's upstairs at Center School I may be able to use. The measurements are comparable, and the design for certain rooms looks like they're gonna work.
Okay.
But what I do have to do is I gotta go up there and really
Look at it.
it, because everything's kind of piling up.
Well, in most cases, on desks and file cabinets, there's huge differences in.
There's the way the rooms are laid out with windows and all that, we may not be able to use them unless they're, I don't know if they're only set up for a certain, I don't know if you can change the direction of certain ones. But there's two rooms that the conference table and chairs, we can use in our conference room. It's the same size. And in what will be the administrative assistant office, actually the desk that was in his office looks like it's going to fit in there.
Okay.
So there is some rooms that I can some of that stuff can be repurposed.
Right. Now, yesterday I took we got a big set of plans, that size set of plans, which I took out my magnifying glass to look at the two buildings, just to see the rooms and what rooms are there and what rooms aren't. And I'm wondering if, to give us a better handle on what we're buying, if you guys could kind of make a list of, like, the chief's office, and this is what I'm going to need: a desk, a file cabinet, blah, 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 and your office, and then the secretaries, and to kind of give us an idea so
That's what I was.
we know what we're buying, so the committee here knows when we're buying 8 desks and 24
Right.
file cabinets,
And
or whatever
there's-
the furniture might be.
There's some of the stuff that they had in it that I really don't need. Like there's a 8-person conference table in the chief's office. I don't need that. But there's a table that was in the day room that's really not needed out there. Could be moved into that. It's a smaller table. That stuff like that. There
Right.
was a lot of things that I didn't think were necessary that I questioned, and I mean, it's not really ending up being a lot of money right now, but it could be by the time it's all figured out. But I did notice, like in the plan storage room for building plans, there's nothing mentioned in there at all on any of the bids. and I really need storage for those things to put them in, and so I don't have them like I do.
Well, that's the kind of thing, in other words, if you can give us a
Flat
list
files?
Flat files, yeah.
of the rooms and what you're looking for in each
Yeah.
room, because some of this stuff, like particularly the fire station, police station, I'm assuming most every room is going to be occupied.
Yeah.
Fire station may not be the case, as a lot of your space is future.
Right.
Future development.
That's where repurposing some of the stuff
Right.
may come in handy. The fire prevention office, that could be another, I think one of the tables that they had up there we can reuse. It's not it's going to be used, but it's not going to be assigned to anybody. Probably a place for me to go work on stuff.
Right.
Instead of in my office. But some of the stuff I
Built-in?
do think is going to fit. But I got to make, I'm assuming in measurements on that stuff that's up there right now, so I got to go up there. But from the preliminary looking, there is some stuff that we can reuse.
Because in other words, we're looking to reuse, hopefully 100% of what's up there.
Right.
Whether it's for the chief or for you or for some other department, if there's something up there that another department can use.
Well, I've been approached by other departments already about utilizing that furniture. So,
Yeah, you mentioned that last week.
yeah, I don't,
Was it maybe a case of, I know I went over there a couple of weeks back, and it's to save room, obviously, it's all piled up.
Yes.
Is it a matter of we go over and move
Well,
some of it around so that
Need a couple people go up there and
So
move
that
stuff around.
maybe a couple of firemen can go over with you and move stuff around, and with your permission or your supervision or whatever, so we get it, because we really need an accurate figure of what each station needs. Because if there's some things we don't really need to buy, or if we can wait until, if, I don't know what the price is going to come in with the allowance, but if it's the stuff we don't really need right away, or if we can, at the end of the project, if there's furniture money left over or something, we can fill in with some other furniture.
I have, like I said, I have identified some stuff that I know will fit because I do have the dimensions for. Some of it I'm not too certain on because I don't really know what the dimensions are, but the only way I'm going to get those is I went up there the other day, and there's a lot of stuff to move around for one person.
Yeah, no, take a couple I assume you can grab a couple of call guys maybe or something.
And there's some of the stuff does have stuff stored in it. I don't know what it is, but
I think for ease, I think what we may want to do is sort of decouple the furniture between the two buildings.
Yes, no, definitely.
We have a much more immediate need on the police station to have those furnishings in place by mid-October to support the interim move. So I think if we focus on those, and this is not to kick the ball down the road, Chief, but I think we've got plenty of time to address the fire department and what will work and what we can repurpose and whatnot. But I think the more immediate need is for the PD and the.
In other words, it sounds like within the next couple of weeks or a month or whatever, I don't know what the time frame exactly is, we need to order the police furniture.
probably earlier than
I
that.
think so.
Whatever, in other words, whatever the time frame is.
I think as soon as
The fire department can wait
we're
a
all
couple of months
comfortable
if need be.
that we've got your needs established and identified and priced, and we're happy with the quality that is being provided, I think we would ask to sort of pull the trigger on that contract in the interim, and at the same time flush out reuse and whatever else, and then as soon as possible, pull the trigger on the fire department so that it's all queued up and ready for us in January when we need it.
Yeah, I think definitely two separate, but at the same time, the sooner the fire chief knows, the better off we are too. Now, Neil, you were talking, when I talked to you earlier today, you mentioned there's another company.
I did reach out to another firm. They gave me a very competitive price. This was without visiting the building, without any awareness of what was being provided by other vendors. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we might have some savings down the road. But what I'd like to do is to get the chiefs to meet with them and see what they're proposing and confirm that they're happy with what's being proposed, and that vendor is aware of the October requirement for the PD as well as the January requirement. So he might be able to work with us, he may not. I want to just confirm with Debbie offline the procurement methods and how everything would be done, and as long as everyone's on the same page, it looks promising.
Okay.
But at this point, it's a little premature to nail it down to a specific number, so.
All right, well, if we get 3 bids, 3 different looks, and the
Right.
chiefs get to look at the quality, I think the quality is very important, because
Yes,
these are
okay,
furniture we're expecting to last for the next 25 or 30 years.
Stuff that I saw, he dropped off a chair that we all sat in. It's going to last, which is what I really was hoping for. And not to beat a dead horse, we did middle of the road on everything.
Right.
We didn't go top shelf, and I can speak for you, I think, on that too. We were very aware of what costs are. I mean, nothing's Taj Mahal.
Yeah, furniture's expensive, too. You get
Oh,
office furniture.
God, you
it's-
don't realize it.
But also, you got to get the
20%.
quality. If you don't get quality, then, you know,
Yeah.
you
Falls apart
waste
in a year.
that money.
These buildings are used hard.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. 24 hours a day, especially for the police. It's, you know, dispatch chairs and stuff like that are critical to have
Do you know some of
the
the
best quality for those.
PDs or fire departments that this company has utilized, furnished?
Yeah, we actually just did Hudson PD.
That's Mass?
Yep. Michael Burks is the chief over there. I'm sure you know. We just did Hudson with this particular firm, and we're currently working with them on our project in Sutton PD as well.
Anything a couple of years ago?
Hudson was 2 years ago.
Hudson was 2 years ago?
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
We just opened a year ago.
Good. All right, so if you can meet,
We'll flush that out further and,
work that out, that'd be great.
yeah, dot the i's and cross the t's.
Okay.
Gear Grid is the next one. These are the turnout gear lockers for the fire station. We have a change order proposal from Castagna for $25,000 to furnish those. And I sent out a request for a proposal yesterday directly to Gear Grid, and we were able to determine that we can purchase directly from them. I'm
GSA.
expecting a proposal today or tomorrow from them. So we'll basically just buy them from the cheapest one. I also need to verify that Castagna is actually bidding what's needed out there. I think they may have done something different, but that's. The next items are the technology as a result of proposals that we've gotten in. One correction on this is the Cybercom number for dispatch. There were a couple of other line items that didn't get included in that number. That number is actually $293,805, not $276,635. And the rest of the items down here are still to be determined. The phone system, fitness equipment, the computers you're going to buy, and audio-visual stuff. Monitors for meeting rooms and that sort of thing. So those are items that we need to shop for. Based on these numbers here, and I'll go to the totals. The total with that correction that I just gave you, and again, not including the install on the furniture and using the WB Mason numbers, comes to about $950,000. The FF&E budget, we have at 778. That actually needs to be increased by $350,000 because we have a separate line item for the dispatch. It should be included as part of that. So that 778 should actually be $1,128,000.
1 million what?
1,128,000. Again, I'll redo this and give you an accurate spreadsheet on it. What that means is that everything that's on this page right now, you're actually, we have contingency impact. We were anticipating biting into your contingency by $183,000. In fact, you are going to be $133,000 away from touching your contingency based on this. All of these items plus $133,000 are covered in the budget before we get into the project. That's as a quick snapshot.
That's based on the earlier allocation from contingency of the 400,000 for the dispatch center.
Right, the dispatch center, did we take that from
Project
the
contingency.
project contingency, or was that
Yes.
money over and above what the bid price was?
No, it was from the project.
Project contingency.
When we set the budget, Dave, after the bids were received and the
Yeah.
construction contract was signed, we put all surplus funding back into contingency.
Okay,
So when we elected back in June, I think it was, to move forward with the revised dispatch, we pulled that 400,000 out and just earmarked it as a potential liability in the
Right.
budget.
okay.
So if everyone is in agreement, the next step is we'll sort of recast the FF&E budget with the right numbers on the right line items and the allowances that we've set up for the other items, and the liability will go out and flow into the actual construction and FF&E budgets. So that's where it will lie going forward.
The good news here is that the budget that we carried for the dispatch is probably, again, this is just a snapshot from where we are, is roughly $100,000 higher than what the numbers are actually coming in at. So that's good news.
The only other item, it's a previous commitment that's not in these figures, is the roughly $72,000 for the antenna, which was previously awarded to Cybercom, and they are proceeding with that work under state contract. So there's another $72,000 that's already been allocated that would
That's out
go
of the
against.
FF&E.
It's all under the same. It's all under the same umbrella in the budget. Yes.
So I guess the key here is to pull the trigger on what.
Well, yeah,
technology
one
we
question
can.
before we get to that, is you met with Cybercom, came in the other day met with you guys.
Yes.
How was that looking? In other words, did they give you any indication of timeframes and problems, issues? What about
We talked.
the issue of moving the dispatch center over to the,
We talked.
temporarily over to the new building? How did that, was that just part of the discussion?
It was. We talked in detail about our plan for implementing it moving forward. We talked about the mid-October date. There was no comment or discussion otherwise from anybody sitting at the table that what we were asking them to do was beyond what they felt was possible. I guess I just want to sort of, the premise is that the network would be up to support the chief moving into the back half of the building, but any supplemental infrastructure, new servers, new whatever, would not necessarily be on site at that point in time.
I just got a little bit more information on that. We won't require a new server, so the current server will be able to
Great.
be utilized. Based upon my discussions this morning with Jared, he apologizes for not making a meeting. He got tied up
Sure.
last minute. But I'm meeting with him tomorrow morning, as well as the guy from E911, just to do a preliminary walkthrough as far as exactly what we need to do and the logistics of it. And I think I'm going to call LW Build and see if they can come down too, because they're probably going to have some input into the move. But then I'm going to try to set up a meeting for Tuesday or Thursday with you and them again, and I don't know if Greg or whomever, a check needs to come down. But basically what they said was, as far as Jared, yeah, the network needs to be in. We just need we need to have the drops need to be in place.
Right, into the closet.
The actual move of the server, be relatively easy and painless. It's already on casters in my office. That's what he said. I'm like, oh, that's great news, Jared. He goes, how far is it going? I said, it's going about 30 feet.
Yeah.
And it's flat. He says, well, it's already on casters, so we can just roll it down the hall and back it in. But everything needs to be able to be hooked up into it. If everything is in place, he says it's probably just a 2-hour process to do that, to include the dispatch aspect of it. So that was the conversation we
That's
had
great.
this morning.
No, that's good news. So some of the systems, like the security and the access control,
Yeah, that
would
probably won't be in
very
place.
likely not be operational for the interim move.
Yeah.
And we would bring all of those permanent systems sort of up together in January when the rest of the renovation is done and we can bring everything online at one time.
Yeah.
So I just, we kind of just want to make sure those expectations are clear. We're going to give you, essentially replicate the existing services that you have at the station in the new side, but probably no enhancements, if you will, that you're getting in the final condition until January.
Right, yeah.
And if we have to do something on an interim basis for locking or security purposes or whatever, we'll sort of address those needs as they come up.
Yeah, so we're just gonna need those exterior doors, that's all.
Yep.
Every exterior door that we have, make sure that it can be locked, and we should be good to go.
This may be a dumb question, but are we looking at kind of like extension cords going from the old center to the temporary new center, or
No.
is it a matter of the wiring being in place and go in and plug in the new
Some
into the
of, some of
temporaries?
each, Dave.
Yeah.
Some of each.
But it'll be up in the ceilings, and it's
Right.
mostly be cabling.
Okay.
That we have Cat 5s and whatnot to the different, because the 911 server is not moving from where it is, it's down in the basement. So that's staying, so there's going to have to be some temporary, actually, it's going to be permanent at some point, so that might even be permanent going, no, because it's going to come back.
It'll be temporary. It's coming back to the same
dispatch
location,
center.
but
Yeah.
think of it like an umbilical. You'll have to have a longer umbilical cord to the temporary dispatch center that's going to occupy the conference room space or the training room space on the PD for an interim basis. And then all of that will get pulled back and then put back into the dispatch in its permanent location, which is really where it is now.
By using so-called extension cords or cabling, whatever, is that going to impede the ability of the equipment? Is it going to be a reduction in
I don't.
because of the distance? That I'm not
I
using the right terms.
I don't
but
anticipate that.
Everything should be.
Signal reduction?
Yeah, I mean, just, what I'm saying is, in other words, it's if you do 30 feet, is it more efficient than doing 150 feet? In other words, by adding the extra 100 feet on, are we reducing the ability of the speed or any of that stuff that
I think we're still
you
within.
need for the computers or the radio system or whatever?
I would think we're still within the sort of the maximum distance that
Okay.
Cat 6 will support. So I don't anticipate
Okay.
that there'd be any drop in service or.
Not going that far.
Yeah, it's not a huge.
It's also, it's not antenna cabling, it's not,
Right,
it's really signal sensitive.
Speaking of the antenna, what are we? Is the new antenna going to be in place by then?
The new antenna will not be required to be in place. The tower may be up, but the permanent and new communication systems will be anticipated for the January timeframe.
Okay, so in other words, the new systems, when you go back to the new dispatch, will probably go into the old tower until.
How are they, how's that going to be coordinated? Because it's going to be moved to do the Sally Port, the antenna.
So when Cybercom is scheduled to install the tower, the foundation is going in late August. Next week, I think, was what Jason had originally planned.
Yeah.
Once the foundation is in and everything is up to strength and confirmed, the tower is ready to go. It's been ready since June. It's been sitting in a warehouse. So the tower will be brought out to the site and erected. And then once the tower is up, we can move the antennas and do whatever we need to do to facilitate the construction of the Sally Port. And if that's an interim move and one that happens after temporary dispatch, but before January, we can certainly support that.
Right, okay. I don't know how involved it is. It seems involved.
Not too bad.
That was 911. They have to come out twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll come out once to move the temporary move, and then once again to do the
back.
move back.
Yeah.
And that, you said there's no cost,
No
Chief,
cost
for
to
that?
them to do that. No. They'll actually come out, they're actually coming out a few times.
Okay.
But, yeah, one for the actual move and then for the move back.
And do we have an approximate bit? I might be asking the question we can't answer, but we've kind of beat around as to what the length of time might be for the temporary dispatch to be in place before the move back. Any idea what the timeframes are gonna be?
It'd probably be dependent upon, I mean, when we get out, the actual construction in the room isn't that much. You know, they're knocking a wall down, they're putting a door in, they're raising a door and straightening a wall. And then it's just furniture. That you know, the paint and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
furniture. So,
Yeah, there's
I mean, it all depends on the scheduling
A little
aspect.
kitchenette,
Right.
that's all part of the new space.
So you're looking at maybe 4 weeks max, is that reasonable?
Oh, I think it's,
Probably longer than that.
I would probably assume it's gonna be closer to 60 or 90 days, would be my guess.
Okay.
Well, they have, the temporary moves in October, and they've got to be out of there in January, so
So it'll be in October.
that's their drop dead date, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
60 days, basically.
Yeah. And we'll figure out I know you're thinking about the public access, you know.
Yeah,
coming to
my next
PD.
question was how we need to determine what you need to let us know
Yeah.
how you're gonna handle building security while you're in that temporary location. We have-
Yeah, well, one of the things is make sure that all the exterior doors are in place and can be locked.
Can be locked.
And, which, if they're in place, they will be able to be locked, so, yeah, and it'll be that whole connection between the old PD and the old
Right.
door, you know, we'll have to figure that out, see what actually is gonna go into that whole place. Right now, it's secured inside anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look at it.
So in other words, when they're doing the dispatch, at the same time frame, they're gonna be doing the lobby, the new lobby area. So anybody in the public will be, I assume, redirected down to.
There'll be a temporary entrance,
That
most
entrance down
likely
at the training room.
at the training room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just have to figure out how what assistance we can give the dispatcher to be protected, as well as if they're handling a call, an emergency of some sort.
And
They-
we're also gonna put stuff out on social media and start letting people know. And maybe with the light department, send a letter to everybody. If you don't have to come to the police department, don't call us, we'll come to you.
Yeah.
You know, especially, you know, from October to, and the foot traffic is greatly diminished during this process anyways.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Okay, good.
But we'll put that out there and we'll make sure people get the service that they,
Yeah, no, that's the
Then-
important thing is, and like I said last week, I just don't want someone pulling in there with someone choking, a
Right.
heart attack, and then they don't know, well, where do we go now? You know, I think it's got to be clearly lit as well as delineated with signage as far as where the people have to go.
Yep.
And obviously to have it available so that they can ring a bell or something so the dispatcher can either let them in or have someone with them that can deal with that emergency. All right. So I guess that covers pretty near everything. Joe, you got anything that you wanted to bring up, or Debbie? Looks like everything's moving along more or less as expected.
Yep.
It's just a matter now of honing in on numbers and things like that. Either one of you chiefs have a...
I just had one question. The Connex right now being moved around, but eventually it's going to be put someplace, and we think it's going to be put on the other side of the overhang, left side, west side of the building overhang. Is it going to go on a slab, or is it just going to go on the ground and leveled?
We haven't done anything with that as far as,
Yeah.
you know, that was one of those things that,
Right. Yeah.
who knows? Probably be nice to put it on a slab,
Yeah.
so we can put a slab under it.
Okay.
So we'll pin down exactly where it is and where it's gonna go, and we'll just,
Now, what are you talking about?
The Connex trailer that has the excess storage that we have. It's got.
The bin there, the big,
Yeah.
if we could put, I think if we're better off if we
Yeah.
okay.
definitely put that
We'll
on
put something together to get a slab on
a
it.
slab.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Other than that, it's
Do we need a formal vote or
Well, that's what I
authorization
was gonna
from the
get to.
committee
I was
to?
gonna give everybody a chance to see if anybody's got any other comments or questions or concerns. And what do you need, Neil, or Greg, from us as votes so we can
I think
proceed?
well, the source capture exhaust will be a different bid That'll be a bid process, so there won't be, we don't necessarily need that authorization today. But if we could be authorized to pursue with continued coordination, Dave, between yourself and Debbie, maybe we put it at a value not to exceed 900,000, and that's basically deducting the 65.
You're talking the 950?
Yeah.
At the bottom, we'll make it 900,000.
We'll make that
not to exceed.
900 not to exceed, and that'll give us a little bit of leeway with the final scoping and whatnot for the various lines. Are you okay with that, Greg?
Yes, I am. I'm assuming that what will happen is we will get proposal in of what will be a final proposal on all of this stuff,
Yes.
and then it'll have to come to town hall for a signature. I guess the issue right now is we want to be able to, as soon as we get that pinned down, to get the signature, get a PO, or however you do it,
Right.
and get a thing in motion, and like within the week kind of thing is what we'd like to.
Yeah, my biggest concern, and Debbie, I don't know, or Joe, is furniture costs.
Right.
I mean, we really have just up in the air ballpark figures. So I'd really like to hone in on those. And obviously, if the police comes up with what you need first, I don't want to delay the ordering of that.
Right.
But I think we need to at least know what's being ordered. And almost similar to what the school did, they gave us a list of, in other words, 22 desks,
Sure.
whatever it is, so that we know exactly what it is. And we need some indication of what's being reused, so that we
The
in other
quotations,
words, I don't want to get to the end and everybody's got new furniture and we got,
the quotations that we've
25
gotten right
upstairs.
now have been separated literally by room. So you can take the quote and go room by room all the way through the whole project and see exactly what we're proposing at each space.
okay. Yeah, maybe if we could get copies of this to the committee.
Sure.
And then hone down on exactly what we're going to be ordering. At the same time, keeping in mind that the police chief needs to know ASAP,
Right.
because you're going to need equipment, if you're going to need some equipment in there for October.
Yeah.
When,
Yeah.
in other words, so there's really no delay in that.
Right.
And
I mean, we would expect that the PD number would be significantly less than the 140 that's in the budget now.
are you comfortable with that, Debbie? What are your
Well,
comments, or Joe?
I think when you're comparing it to the school, the issue with the school is the FF&E budget
Right.
was expended, so what was coming before the board, these list of items were things that were coming out of the contingency, the $1.4 million contingency. So everything we're assured is within the FF&E budget on this project, and so there was costs that were associated with furniture purchases, and as long as that's not exceeding what was agreed to today with the adjusted FF&E amount,
Right.
I
We're
think it's within
Yeah.
the scope of,
we're within that.
Eventually,
Eventually, we'll probably go over, but right now, we're still within those numbers, yes.
a lot of the furniture that came out of the PD is not going to be able to be utilized in the new PD, mostly because of the configure of the room and some of the size of the furniture. The offices are smaller. There's like the offices room is a total reconfiguration. It's all made of cubicles, for the offices. So they're going to have to put the cubicles up. Same with the reserve officer workspace where they have there. My office, Dottie's office, the Sedgwick's office, some of that, I can tell you the furniture in mine won't fit. It's too small, too big, not configured. Dottie's may be able to, but it'd be better utilized in a room that's not going to be occupied and it's still quality furniture. And we looked at the configuration, at least with a couple of those pieces yesterday. So there's going to be very little that won't be new in the police department, I'll go back over and look at it, but again, just
As
based
long
on
as
the
you guys
configuration.
are, looking at, and like I say, at the fire station, your building is going to be basically 100% used for
Right.
all practical purposes.
Yeah, every room is going to
The
be,
fire department's a little different issue. There's a lot of this is a space for future stuff and so on and so forth. It's a smaller department in terms of full-time people. So My concern is, you probably realize that we need to make sure we're utilizing all the old furniture as much as we can. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for the police or fire. If planning board needs a desk or a table or something, then that's fine. I just, we want to utilize whatever we can and at the same time, not overspend. So I think if we're looking, right now, I think we're all comfortable with the numbers you've given us.
Okay.
And the work that you gentlemen have been doing, due diligence to, measure out the furniture, measure the room sizes. And I think, I'm comfortable saying, go ahead and just follow up with a list or, of what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Oh, sure.
And I don't think there's going to be any problem. I think it's really looking good. And I know this gets hard now because you're all of a sudden looking at, well, what nuts and bolts are we ordering for specific rooms and specific places. So, what do you think, Debbie? Does that sound, Joe?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So what you're looking for a vote on?
I'm not sure how it can be worded, but essentially the numbers that we've presented today for the lockers, the furniture, the gear grid, the premise cable, the security system, the dispatch communications piece, and the municipal fire alarm relocations.
Is
At a
the
value
For a total not to exceed.
At a value not to exceed $900,000.
the only other questions on Cybercom and the dispatch center stuff? That's all included here. You guys, you've agreed that with Cybercom or with you or you that what they're proposing is what we need to do the job.
Yep.
And it's part
Yeah,
of
it's
this,
Motorola.
part of this
Right.
equipment. I mean, I'm talking like desks and chairs and
Right.
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
So,
is all
yeah.
part of that.
The only thing I just want to be clear is that sort of the expected but not included in the price is any equipment that doesn't, that needs to sort of be reinvigorated when it makes the move. So a lot of times when we take equipment that's older and plug it into new power supplies, oftentimes we may have some computer problems, we may have some hardware failures, we may need to replace power supplies and things like that. That's just sort of normal and unexpected, but you have to assume that some of that is going to come up. So, we may be within a couple of dollars here or there. It's not a big number, but I would expect that the committee can expect that
It's gonna
coming back
happen, yeah,
in the
more
future.
than-
That's all.
And with the budget we're in, we got more than enough funds to
I think
account
so.
for any of those kinds.
I think so.
into that.
I think we're fine.
Okay, well, so if we have a motion to okay this technology FFE budget for not to exceed $900,000.
Not to exceed 900,000, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And we'll come back with the rest of the items on the list, and then we'll, whether we amend that later or vote it under a separate authorization.
No, I think the process so far
The i's
has
and cross the
been
t's.
very smooth. And you've kept us very well updated on what's going on. The chiefs have been excellent in terms of dealing with the project, and I know that Castagna is very happy dealing with both of you gentlemen. We got a construction meeting this afternoon, but it's been, basically, I think it's run very smooth. So, and now that things are beginning to really fall into place over there, it's coming along. It's coming along well. So I'll keep our fingers crossed, knock on wood, that it keeps going.
There's more roofers out there, it'll be just fine.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the fact that the roofers are busy doing schools now, right? They're trying to get schools done before school
what they
starts.
say, yeah.
The delay in the shingles kind of put a little kibosh to the roofing being done, but they are making some
Jason was on the
progress.
roof today.
Yeah, he's a worker. He's a good guy. All right, so we're all set on that. No other comments on that. We got a review of the budget and project timeline. I think it's pretty much the same as it's been. There's no major changes or delays.
Yeah, we'll make the change to the project budget to reflect these commitments,
Okay.
and we'll move the 350 or 400,000 for the dispatch that was previously authorized out of liability, and we'll fit it into the budget in the appropriate locations. So we should be looking like we're in good shape.
All right, good.
Moving forward. And those will be out with the August bills and probably by the first week in September.
Greg, you got anything
Nope,
to add?
just want a quick thing with the chief.
What?
I said I have a quick thing to go over with.
Oh, after when the meeting's over, okay. Chief, you got anything?
No.
You good? Joe?
Nope.
Debbie, you're all set? All right, minutes, we don't have any, you said, right? The next meeting date, unless we need a meeting, do you want to just kind of leave it open at this point? I mean, in other words, if you got permission to start buying stuff, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, meet again just to get an update and see what's, in the meantime, if you get us the information so we have it, each of us will get it. So if anybody has a concern, we can certainly schedule a meeting prior, but I would say maybe just leave it at this point, it's kind of open-ended. If we do another meeting, it'll be on a Thursday at 11 or 11:30, just because you guys come from wherever. And it's easier if you're here on a day when you're doing the
11.
construction meeting too, so.
This worked out
great.
fine.
So no objection to just leaving it open. We don't need to have meetings if we don't need to have meetings.
Not on the 20th of September.
Well, we can get things done when you're gone, right? Okay, so with that, unless someone's got something else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Good.
Make a motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and everything's looking good.
All right.